Imagine this. You're in a relationship, but something feels off. You crave connection, but your partner pulls away. You express love, but they stay guarded. You try to bridge the gap, but it feels like you're the only one making the effort. This, my friends, is the silent storm of an avoidant relationship. And today we're going to uncover the 7 signs that might be keeping you trapped in a cycle of emotional distance, because if you don't recognize them, you'll spend your life chasing someone who is running from themselves. 1, emotional walls instead of bridges. 2, fear of vulnerability. 3, a cycle of hot and cold. 4, they prioritized independence over partnership. 5, love feels like a game of testing. 6, they struggle with emotional support. 7, intimacy is limited physically and emotionally. Make the choice today. Choose you. Choose the love you truly deserve. An avoidant relationship operates on a fundamental disconnect. One partner craves intimacy while the other builds walls to maintain emotional distance. This isn't always intentional, but the result is the same. Frustration, confusion, and a lingering feeling of loneliness, even when you're physically together. The key characteristic of an avoidant partner is their reluctance to engage in deep emotional exchanges. They keep conversations at the surface level, steering clear of anything that requires vulnerability or self-reflection. You might talk about plans for the weekend, work updates, or general life matters, but the moment the conversation shifts toward emotions, struggles, or commitment, they either shut down, change the subject, or withdraw completely. This pattern creates an exhausting cycle where one partner constantly reaches for connection while the other subtly or sometimes blatantly pushes them away. Over time, the person seeking closeness starts to doubt themselves. They wonder, am I asking for too much? Am I being needy? But the truth is, emotional connection isn't a luxury, it's a necessity in a healthy relationship. Love without emotional depth is like a house without a foundation. It may stand for a while, but eventually it collapses under its own instability. What makes an avoidant relationship so frustrating is that avoidance doesn't always look like rejection. Sometimes it's disguised as independence or nonchalance. An avoidant partner might say things like, I just like my space, I'm not good at talking about feelings, or I don't believe in overcomplicating things. On the surface, these statements seem harmless, even reasonable, but underneath them lies an unspoken reality. I am unwilling or unable to connect with you on a deeper level. If you've ever been in this kind of relationship, you know the emotional toll it takes. You feel like you're constantly knocking on a locked door, waiting for someone to let you in, only to be met with silence or resistance. You put effort into creating a safe space for them, hoping they'll eventually open up, but they never fully do. The few moments of closeness you share might feel intoxicating, but they are often short-lived, leaving you craving more and wondering why it's so difficult to sustain. The hardest part is realizing that no amount of love or patience can change someone who is determined to keep their guard up. Emotional walls don't come down because of pressure or persuasion. They only come down when the person behind them decides they no longer serve a purpose. And until that happens, you'll always feel like you're reaching for something just beyond your grasp. Fear of vulnerability is one of the most defining traits of an avoidant relationship. At its core, it is a deep-seated resistance to opening up, sharing emotions, and truly letting someone in. This fear isn't always obvious. It doesn't always manifest as coldness or outright rejection. Instead, it often appears in subtle ways, deflecting deep conversations, making jokes when things get serious, or shutting down when emotions become intense. The avoidant partner isn't just withholding love, they are protecting themselves from what they perceive as a threat, emotional closeness. For someone with an avoidant attachment style, vulnerability feels like losing control. They might believe that showing emotions makes them weak, that relying on another person makes them dependent, or that exposing their true feelings leaves them open to hurt. These beliefs often stem from past experiences. Perhaps they were raised in an environment where emotional needs weren't met, or they were taught that love is conditional, something to be earned rather than freely given. Over time, they learned to rely only on themselves, convincing themselves that emotional self-sufficiency is the only way to stay safe. In a relationship, this fear plays out in ways that leave their partner feeling confused and disconnected. When emotions run high, an avoidant partner withdraws instead of engaging. When their partner expresses pain or frustration, they downplay it or dismiss it altogether. They may avoid serious discussions about the future or deflect conversations about feelings, saying things like, "Why do we need to talk about this?" Or, "I don't see the point in dwelling on emotions." They might even give mixed signals, moments of warmth and intimacy followed by sudden distance because too much closeness feels overwhelming. For the other person in the relationship, this creates a painful dynamic. They may feel like they are constantly being kept at a distance, like every attempt to connect is met with resistance. It can be incredibly lonely to love someone who won't let you in, to offer emotional support only to have it rejected. Over time, this can lead to frustration, self-doubt, and the exhausting belief that if they just love harder or try more, their partner will finally open up. But the truth is, vulnerability isn't something that can be forced. It has to be a choice. And in an avoidant relationship, the fear of opening up is often stronger than the desire to connect, leaving both partners trapped in an emotional stalemate where love is present but never fully realized. The cycle of hot and cold in an avoidant relationship is one of the most emotionally draining experiences a person can go through. One moment, everything feels perfect. The connection is strong. The chemistry is undeniable, and you feel like you're finally breaking through their walls. Then, just as suddenly, they pull away. The warmth disappears, the communication slows, and you're left wondering what changed. This inconsistency is not accidental. It's a defense mechanism that keeps the avoidant partner in control of the emotional dynamic. At the heart of this behavior is their internal conflict between craving love and fearing it. When they feel safe, they let their guard down and allow themselves to enjoy the connection. During these moments, they may seem affectionate, engaged, and even deeply invested in the relationship. But as soon as the intimacy starts to feel too intense, their fear kicks in. They begin to feel suffocated, as if they are losing their sense of independence. To regain their emotional balance, they create distance, whether by withdrawing emotionally, becoming distant in conversations, or even physically avoiding their partner. This hot and cold pattern keeps the other person trapped in a cycle of hope and disappointment. When the avoidant partner is warm and present, it feels like progress, like the relationship is moving in the right direction. But when they suddenly turn cold, it creates confusion and self-doubt. The person on the receiving end starts questioning themselves. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Am I too needy? They may even begin modifying their own behavior to avoid triggering another withdrawal, walking on eggshells to keep the relationship stable. The unpredictability of this cycle can make the relationship feel addictive. The moments of closeness are so rewarding that they create a sense of emotional high, while the periods of withdrawal create anxiety and longing. This push and pull dynamic keeps the other person vested, constantly chasing the warmth and trying to understand how to keep it from disappearing. The reality, however, is that the problem isn't with them. It's with the avoidant partner's inability to tolerate sustained emotional intimacy. Over time, this cycle takes a toll. The emotional roller coaster leads to exhaustion, insecurity, and a growing sense of frustration. Love should provide stability, not uncertainty. But in an avoidant relationship, the inconsistency becomes the defining feature, leaving one partner constantly reaching while the other keeps pulling away, never fully allowing the relationship to settle into something secure and lasting. In an avoidant relationship, independence is often used as a shield rather than a strength. While independence is healthy and necessary in any relationship, an avoidant partner takes it to an extreme, using it as a way to create emotional distance. They see closeness as a threat to their autonomy, fearing that deep connection will lead to losing their sense of self. As a result, they build barriers, prioritizing their personal space, routines, and individual goals over the relationship itself. This makes their partner feel like an outsider rather than an equal participant in their life. An avoidant person may insist on handling their problems alone, refusing support or emotional comfort from their partner. When they face challenges, they withdraw instead of seeking connection, sending the message that emotional interdependence is unwelcome. They might say things like, I don't need anyone, I'm fine on my own, or I just prefer to deal with things myself. While these statements may seem like signs of strength, they actually reveal a deep fear of emotional reliance. To them, needing someone feels like weakness, and they will do everything in their power to avoid being in a position where they have to depend on another person emotionally. This resistance to partnership creates a one-sided dynamic where the avoidant partner gets to maintain their sense of independence while their partner is left feeling unwanted or unimportant. The relationship lacks true emotional intimacy because the avoidant person is unwilling to fully integrate their partner into their life. They may be physically present, but emotionally distant, never fully allowing the relationship to deepen. Their partner, on the other hand, is left trying to break through the walls, constantly wondering why they feel disconnected, despite being in a relationship. Even in practical matters, the avoidant partner resists collaboration. Decisions that should be made together, such as future plans, major life choices, or even simple day-to-day matters, are often made independently. They may avoid discussions about long-term commitment or brush off conversations about the future. This isn't because they don't care, but because committing too much feels like a loss of personal control. Rather than embracing the idea that a strong relationship enhances both individuals, they see closeness as a burden, something that restricts them rather than supports them. Over time, this extreme independence leaves the relationship feeling unbalanced. The avoidant partner gets the space they desire, but their partner is left feeling emotionally neglected. Love is meant to be a shared experience, a partnership where both people feel valued and connected. But in an avoidant relationship, independence becomes an emotional wall, preventing the relationship from ever truly flourishing. Love should be a space of trust where both partners feel secure in each other's presence. But in an avoidant relationship, love often turns into a game of testing. The avoidant partner may not even realize they are doing it, but their actions create a constant sense of uncertainty, where their partner feels like they have to prove their worth again and again. Instead of embracing love freely, the avoidant person sets up invisible challenges, seeing how much the other person is willing to endure before pulling away. This can take many forms: silent treatments, emotional withdrawal, or sudden distance after moments of closeness, all designed to gauge how much their partner truly cares. This kind of emotional testing isn't always obvious. Sometimes it appears in subtle ways, like ignoring messages to see how long it takes for the other person to reach out again. Other times it's more direct, like making hurtful comments and watching to see if their partner reacts or walks away. They may even push their partner away intentionally just to see if they will fight to stay. For the person on the receiving end, this creates a painful and exhausting dynamic. They start to believe that love is something they must constantly earn, that if they don't try hard enough, they will be abandoned. An avoidant partner often struggles with emotional security, and their testing behaviors stem from a fear of being too vulnerable. They worry that if they become too invested, they might get hurt, so they create situations that put their partner in a position to prove their loyalty. If their partner reacts with frustration or starts to pull away, they see it as confirmation that relationships aren't safe. If their partner continues to chase them, it provides temporary reassurance, but the cycle never truly ends. No matter how much their partner proves their devotion, the avoidant person will find a new reason to test them, keeping the relationship in a constant state of instability. This type of love is unhealthy because it creates an imbalance of power. The avoidant partner controls the pace of the relationship, while the other person is left feeling like they are always one step away from losing them. Over time, this can lead to deep emotional exhaustion as the person on the receiving end begins to doubt their own self-worth. They start believing that if they just try harder, love will finally be enough. But the truth is, love should never be a test. It should be a safe space where both people feel accepted, valued, and secure without having to constantly prove themselves. The truth is, love should not be a battlefield where one person is constantly fighting for connection while the other builds walls to keep it at bay. An avoidant relationship keeps you trapped in cycles of uncertainty, always reaching for something that remains just out of grasp. But here's what you need to realize: you are not responsible for tearing down someone else's walls. You are not meant to spend your life proving your worth to someone who is too afraid to accept it. Real love is not about testing, withholding, or creating distance. It's about presence, trust, and emotional safety. It's about two people meeting each other fully, without fear, without games, without hesitation. If you find yourself in a relationship where you are constantly chasing, questioning, or feeling like you are never enough, it may be time to step back and ask yourself, is this the love I truly deserve? Because the right love, the love that nurtures, uplifts, and fulfills you, will never require you to beg for it. It will never leave you guessing. It will not make you feel like an outsider in your own relationship. So if you recognize these patterns, take a deep breath and remember, you have the power to choose. Choose love that is open, love that is consistent, love that meets you with the same energy you give. Choose a love that doesn't just exist, but one that thrives. And most importantly, choose yourself.